Bonnie, do we want to, yeah, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance right away. Will the clerk please take attendance?
Members are present. Patty Bacon is joining via Zoom tonight.
Thank you. Patty, are you there? Oh, she's going to come in in executive session. All right. We will be entering executive session pursuant to SDCL 1-25-2.1 for purposes of discussing the qualifications, competence, performance, character, or fitness of any public officer, employee, or prospective public officer or employee. The term employee does not include any independent contractor. I entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
So moved. Second.
The motion is seconded. I call for a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. We are in executive session. Okay, we did Pledge of Allegiance and roll call earlier, and we're in executive session. We'll just start the regular meeting now. Are there any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda by the council? Seeing no comment, I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Tilton Burn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer.
Aye. Okay, move on to open forum and presentations. Open forum. At this time, any member of the public may request time at the agenda for an item not listed. Is there any member in the public that would like to address the council on an item not listed on tonight's agenda? All right. I see that Anna is here tonight. We'll have the SDSU report.
I'm Anna Shane, the Government Affairs Chair for the SDSU Students Association. Much like many students, I'm in and around Brookings this summer, so you'll probably see me a few times throughout the summer term. Figure I'd pop in. So the Student Association doesn't have any meetings in the summer, but our exec team is busy planning summer trainings, meeting with the university, and planning fall engagement events. Additionally, SA is currently in the process of finishing the Student Promotion Fund application for funding. Moving into university updates, the 4 outdoor graduation ceremonies were a huge success and were a really big milestone for the university, as it was our semester-long goal to be able to host an in-person graduation. Lots has been going on with athletics, particularly football, softball, and cross country, and athletics held its scholarship auction on Saturday. And drive-through COVID-19 testing is still available for students all summer, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., and that actually ends August 20th. So this concludes my report. Thanks for your time, and I'll stand by for any questions.
Are there any? Okay, thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to comment? And then if not, we'll get first quarter report from Eric Rangel, our our financial officer.
Good evening, council members. We'll start with the first quarter financial results for the city of Brookings. The first slide, we talk about our tax revenue. The table on the top left shows our type of sales tax, and then the second column is our budgeted amounts. The third column is our historically prorated amount of where we should be at the end of the first quarter. Then the fourth column is the year-to-date actuals. The fifth column is the difference, favorable or unfavorable in negative numbers, and then the percentage of variance between the two. So the story here is that sales tax has performed better than budget by 2.2%. The chart on your right shows the performance versus budget. It's positive. However, versus last year is negative 6%. We believe that the year-over-year comparison is because we had a strong first quarter last quarter because we still didn't have any budget impact at that point of time. If we keep moving down the table, we see the property tax that is performed better than historically, although this is not a real increment, it's just a matter of timing. So we would consider that to be within expectations. At the end of the year, the city's tax revenues are about 5% ahead of budget at the end of the first quarter, or $190,000. Diving deeper into the sales tax by industry to get a better grasp on our local economy, we see that year-over-year declines in construction, manufacturing, and transportation industry have been mostly offset by gains in the wholesale trade, services, and finance, and insurance, and real estate sectors. That's your table on your right. According to some local experts consulting for this, in terms of expectations going forward, the U.S. economy is expected to rebound by 6.5% from the previous year. And we believe that our regional economy is going to rebound at a higher pace, driven mostly by stronger inflation readings. People are saving more, and we have additional stimulus in the horizon, as well as higher agricultural and commodity prices. So if you like additional sales tax information, this can be found in the city's performance management dashboard, which you can access through the following link. This dashboard includes a 12-month performance by month for sales tax by industry, and also information on remote seller tax or internet tax. Moving on to the general fund, which, as a reminder, funds all the general services of the city. We have the expenditures on the first column, and it follows the same format to end up with the revenue, favorable or unfavorable, all the way to the right. The story here that at the end of Q1, the total general fund expense is at 21.6% of total budget, which represents a $98,000 surplus versus budget. The large part of this surplus is attributed to vacancies in the street and police departments. In addition, also good news on the revenue side, we're coming in $56,000 higher than what we were expected. This is driven by just higher revenues driven by bank franchise and override taxes. So in summary, it's been a good, strong quarter for the general fund in terms of revenue and expenses. Our next slide shows the other funds of the city. We'll start by the CIP, which is our capital project fund. On the top left is the first row. It's right now it's at 7.1% of budget, which a total spend of around $791,000. This number looks a little bit higher than in previous years just because of the purchase of the truck engine in early this year. So when we compare it to the historical purchase, it's unfavorable, but it's not a real unfavorability. As a reminder, Q1 is usually a very low activity on these funds just due to weather. The chart on your right tells you the split of what has been actually implemented within the capital fund. We have the biggest spend has been the fire department truck, then we'll have vehicles, street and sidewalk projects, and then all other projects. And lastly, I'd like to highlight that in the grand total, the city as a whole is currently at 13.7% of their budget. This is, it looks as unfavorable just because of the timing of issues, but it's well within our projections. As a good benchmark also at this point in time, which would be at 25% of our expense. So 13.7% is a good number, and we don't see any red flags going forward with the city financials. The next slide shows the income statement for the Swiftfield Center as requested by City Council. We present this every quarter. The far left column just has the revenue and expenses. Then the next three columns are the ones that I like to focus on. The first one is the year-to-date actual performance, then the year-to-date budget, and then the difference between the two of those is our third column. So during this quarter, COVID has materially impacted the Swiftfield Center with the revenue being reduced by 70%. They had very little activity, or about $682,000 less revenue than projected. Due to this, the city, the center staff has proactively reduced its expenses by about 50%, or $451,000, which you can see at the second to bottom row, including personnel adjustments. However, despite these efforts, the operation is currently running at a $230,000 deficit from budget. Good news is that April activity has been rebounding, and the Swiftfield staff is expected to rebound, hopefully getting more events to offset the deficit by the end of the year. And again, the city and the Swiftfield Center's leadership are constantly working on evaluating their business plan to try to meet budget this year. Now, going forward, as a reminder, when we were budgeting for 2021, our tax revenue, we're still in the middle of COVID and we didn't know what was going to happen. So we were very conservative in terms of our budget. And just as a reminder to the general public, our first and second penny, for example, budget was 66% of recovery from the expected reduction in 2020. Our 3B was only 50% recovery, and our bid hotel was also 50% recovery. That's why you see some of the numbers, even though sometimes they're lower than last year, they're ahead of budget because of that. But in good news, April tax was just released last week, and it came strong at about 16% higher than the previous year. And that puts the last two tables, the table on the left below has the first and second penny sales tax, and they're sitting at around 3.5% ahead of last year and 6% ahead of budget. Our 3B is pretty much flat year over year, but it's around 8% ahead of budget. And our bid tax is still below last year, but it's around 18% ahead of budget. Next, moving on to the City Council priority list. As a reminder for everybody, these are the City Council priority projects that would be funded by unassigned general fund funds or reserves. So this changed from last time in terms that we're almost to the end of our 2020 financial audit, so we have a better estimate of where we're gonna end up in terms of available revenue to fund this project. Right now, we forecast that we will be at $11.8 million. We take a little bit of a contingency factor since the audit has not been finalized, so we start our funding with $10.6 million. Next one on the left is the City Council approved projects, and this was approved at the time of the budget. We approved $1.4 million for capital improvements to the city facilities. That leaves us with a $9.2 million balance to fund our primary projects. Our primary projects have not been officially funded, but they are the next in line, and they're in order and priority in this list. Also, we got the 2022 facility improvements by $1.1 million, the fire department training tower, $440,000, the public safety center by $7 million, the housing study at $25,000, the food bank for $300,000, the downtown master plan for $35,000, and the indoor rec facility for $850,000. The total unapproved primary projects add up to be $9.8 million. With that, if we were to fund all of them, we would run out of money. The projects on the right side are the secondary and then the desired projects that I just listed for your reference, and that would be next in line if we ever get more funds. This list will be revised after we finalize the audit and we re-engage city leadership, and we can propose changes to it as well. And lastly, I would like to announce that the city's finance report for 2019 has recently received the Excellence Award. This award is given by the Government Finance Officers Association, and it's awarded to local and state governments that go above and beyond the minimum required, just in seeking more transparency and full disclosure. It is the highest form of recognition in government accounting and financial reporting. With that, I would like to credit the finance staff of the city, Brenda, Gwen, and Ashley. They do a terrific job, and they put so much attention to detail to every activity that they do that ends up being in our financials. So kudos to them, and just wanted to present you with this award as well. With that, I'll stand by for questions.
Holly, please.
I don't have a question. I just want to team on the award. I think that's a wonderful accomplishment for our community, and I think it shows how much we really want the public to engage and understand what our budget looks like. So congratulations and thank you for the hard work.
Thank you.
Joe?
Back you heard comments. I thought that award is a really big deal to you and your team. I think you guys are done and are continuing to do a wonderful job. So thank you for all you do. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Nick?
Thank you. On what is your slide 4, I think the general fund chart that you provided.
Yes.
Can you clarify for me the line item that we call county reimbursement? It had a pretty large delta, and I was wondering if you could define what that expense is and where the difference is.
Yes, and this is where we backbill the county. The city pays up front for most of the expenses, but we split them 52-49 expenses. So sometimes it's off for budget just for the timing of billing, but that's what it is.
Patty, do you have any?
No,
I do.
everybody's answered my questions.
Okay. I do have one question, or maybe we can kind of explain to the public a little bit. There's $7 million that is ear tagged for the Public Safety Center. Can we kind of elaborate on that, what that's all entails?
Sure. So as part of the City Council Financial Policy projects, we've identified from staff to the police department. We've done an initial analysis here about a year and a half ago with McKinstry to look at that facility. We brought in a team of engineers. They provided a highly level analysis that showed for renovating the facility, it would cost about $7 million to completely reconstruct the facility on a new site with a new facility. It would cost closer to $14 million. Very conservative numbers, once again, almost 2 years ago, so you'd have to escalate that for today's costs. Rather than going out to a vote of the people to build a brand new facility and increasing property tax dollars, we have been able to save money over this last year through the efforts of our staff and projects to have roughly $7 million cash in hand to be able to do this project without having to increase property tax dollars. So we're going to recommend moving forward with initial analysis. DJ, our Public Works Director, will oversee the project along with Dave, and moving forward with that project with hopefully engineers' estimates, bidding projects and process later this fall, winter, with potential construction next spring, depending on what we get back for quotes.
All right, thank you. To contracts and change orders, and Eric, action on Resolution 21-046, resolution approving the Swiftfield Center venue management agreement between the City of Brookings and Spectra Venue Management. Eric, take it from here.
Good evening. Before we begin, I would like to introduce the Spectra Management Company staff that's with us today. We have Katie Porco, the Director of Business Development, right next to me, Rick Hans, the Regional VP, and Tim Sabona, who is the General Manager of the Tystone Event Center in Sioux City. They're here to answer any questions and just to help me with the presentation of their proposal as well. So welcome. Request approval of the Swiftfield Center Venue Management Agreement between the City of Brookings and Spectra Venue Management. We would like to provide you with an overview of the RFP process followed, the reasons why city staff recommends Spectra's proposal, and an introduction to Spectra and their business strategy. So we begin with the RFP process. As background, the current contract with VenueWorks has been in place for 20 plus years, and it naturally terminates at the end of July. The city decided to seek competitive bids and explore options following the South Dakota Bureau of Administration Procurement Management guidelines. Two firms, VenueWorks and Spectra, submitted responses to the RFP by the timeline. In order to evaluate these proposals, a selection committee composed of city employees and Swiftfield Center's advisory board members reviewed, analyzed, and compared the two proposals received and presented a recommendation to our city manager. The analysis performed included evaluating key aspects that were in line with the RFP evaluation criteria. These aspects are, for example, the long-term financial impact to both the city and the community, the treatment of the current venue staff, the community support initiatives, the new business opportunities, and in the case of Spectra, extensive reference checks. It is important to note that both firms were given equal opportunity to present, clarify, and improve their proposals following our RFP guidelines. So why Spectra? The first and most recent is they were the best alternative for the city and the community because of many reasons. One of them being they will deliver 1.8 million estimated profit margin improvement within 5 years. That's 508,000 more than VenueWorks' proposal. And this translates in reduced annual subsidy from the city from our current levels of around $450,000 to $54,000 by year 5. In addition, they will also contribute $425,000 from investments in capital without any payback. And with that, I would like to dive a little deeper into the financial proposal to help the public understand why this decision. So before, I'd like to explain our baseline, which is the Swiftfield Center's current performance. The table below shows the Swiftfield income statement for the last 3 years. Two lines that I want to focus your attention on is the red dotted line, which is our baseline. That's the average of the net operating loss that the Swiftfield Center has been performing for the last 3 years. So it ranges from a high of 517 to a low of 384, given an average of $448,000. That is our baseline. It is also important to note the blue dotted line. These are the total fees and commissions earned by VenueWorks. Regardless of budget performance or operational income or loss, their fees have always been above $100,000. So now that we've established the deficit baseline of 448, we can compare the two proposals. The first one on the right is the VenueWorks proposal, and it does improve over 5 years, $1.07 million better than what we're currently performing. The second proposal is Spectra's. Spectra is increasing our profitability by 1.58 million in 5 years. They start with gradually with $219,000 improvement in 2022 to an improvement of almost $400,000 in year 5. So at the end, Spectra's proposal outperforms VentureWorks by $508,000. Both proposals increase sponsorship revenues. That's a key driver of the incremental profitability for the center. The difference in the additional, in Spectra's is the additional event revenue opportunity that they identify, which will also drive attendance to our city. Lastly, I believe it's also important to talk about the structure of the deal, the way the fees and commissions of the two proposals differ. So I'd like to get your attention to the fee structure here. They both have a flat fee. VentureWorks is $15,000 lower than Spectra's annually. However, VentureWorks' proposal is based on gross revenues. They will get 5% of gross sales for food and beverage and 5% of commission, regardless of, again, budget performance or operational performance. Whereas Spectra will only get their incentive fees and the qualitative fees if they perform better than our current baseline. So for example, their sponsorship commission would only start to kick off if they sell in excess of $200,000, which is what we're currently at. In excess, if they improve that by $10,000, then they start earning. Same goes with the financial fees. If they take us from a $450,000 net loss to a net loss of $200,000, that's when they start making money. If they stay performing at current levels, they would only get their flat fee. And the qualitative incentive fee, it's a $20,000 annually, and will be mostly assigned by the city based on different criteria that we had input to as well. So, for example, if both VentureWorks and Spectra perform at the current level, VentureWorks it's estimated to make around $127,000 in fees, while Spectra will make $95,000. Now, on the other hand, year 5, which is the best case scenario for both, Spectra will earn $206,000, but they will deliver almost $400,000 of bottom line improvement. VentureWorks will get around $157,000, but they're delivering $235,000. So the next reason is that Spectra is also going to increase our event days by 20% and our attendance by 45% by year 5. This is about a $1 million in incremental economic direct impact to our community. In contrast, VentureWorks estimated a flat attendance to 2019 for the next 5 years. Spectra will also extend job offers to all current staff. Offers will be made at the current salaries with equivalent benefits, and they will also honor their tenure in terms of benefits accrual. Spectra will also provide additional tools and resources to help employees succeed. They will add 2 full-time employees to help support the workload to a total of 15 full-time positions. Spectra's proposal was staying at 11, or the current level of 11 full-time employees. Accordingly to the 10-plus venues that this selection committee engaged, Spectra has a successful track record of financial performance and community engagement with peer communities. They're excellent at customer service, and they have outstanding relationships among the community in their operating venues. And lastly, Spectra fosters an innovative culture in their team, and that's one of the reasons why they identify a number of on-top opportunities in our market, and they're very excited to execute on them. So in conclusion, Spectra will materially improve the city's financial position and our community's financial position. They will not receive additional fees if they don't deliver on this. And number 3, and the most important, is that they will also take care of the Swiftfield Center staff and offer them, all of them, job offers at their current levels. So that is why the city is recommending to award Spectra the contract for the management service of the Swiftfield Center. And with that, I'll hand it over to Katie Porco. Again, she's the Director of Business Development at Spectra, who will provide an overview of the company and their strategy to engage her community and to execute on their business plan.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, everyone, for the time. I really appreciate it. We're really excited to be here today and happy to answer any questions that you may have. Brief overview about who Spectra is. We are comprised of 3 divisions. We have a venue management division, a food services and hospitality division, and a corporate partnerships division, which collectively operates at about 300 venues throughout North America. And what we do is we operate with a one Spectra approach. So we really are bringing all 3 of those divisions and the strength of it here to Brookings and the Swiftfield Center. So what that means for the staff that we're committed to hiring and what it means to the operations here is they're going to have dedicated resources that are available to them just a quick phone call away. We have many staff that are just a quick drive away, so we'll make sure that they're provided all the resources that they need. And we're able to do this because we have a strong corporate backing. So with this backing, we're able to make sure that we give the dedicated attention that is needed, and we make sure that the Swiftfield Center is a top priority for us. Our vision is really expanding on that, and as Eric referenced, we really see a lot of untapped potential here. And again, through these resources and support that we can give the staff, we really see how the Swiftfield Center can become a complementary part of our network. We are pretty strong in this region, and we can see the way that the Swiftfield Center would be a complement to our booking and routing efforts. We have very close and strong relationships with promoters, and promoters like to work with us because they're able to give us a call and go ahead and book us from coast to coast and hit up 10 buildings with one call, and they know that they'll get a good deal. And beyond that, when they book Spectra buildings, they know that we are the leaders in sales and marketing. We have 150 sales and marketing executives throughout the country, so they know that we place a strong emphasis on selling more tickets. So that's a big way that we look to drive extra revenue here. Additionally, as Eric mentioned, we see sponsorship as a huge opportunity. Our corporate partnerships division is the leader in the industry. They've sold over 40 naming rights within the past 10 years. And again, with those dedicated resources that can come help evaluate the market, put together rate cards, develop available assets, we'll be able to go to market and effectively sell sponsorships. But we really know that through this vision, the most important part is the employees and the culture here. We know how important it is to the city of Brookings to live with their mission statement. We spent a lot of time throughout this process learning the mission statement. And we know about the dedication to leaders listening first and foremost. And that is exactly how Spectra leads. We like to come in, we like to listen, we like to collaborate together, come up with innovative ideas together, make sure that we all feel like we're part of one big family and one big team. So we know how important that is. And we really feel like we're starting that already. We're making sure that we're meeting with employees whenever we're able to per the RFP and wanting to make sure that we start off on the right foot together, because we know how important the community is, and that really is a big part of a building like this is not only booking events, but making sure that you're an asset for the community. The team members live here, they go to church here, they coach teams here, they are a part of the community, and we want to make sure that in turn the Swiftfield Center is a community asset for them. So we make sure that we book community events, we make space available at reasonable rates for community events to come into. We'll look to create new community events that maybe we can draw more people down here. We'll collaborate with the Chamber or the CVB or Downtown Brookings or SDSU. I could probably name 10 more and I won't keep going. But we want to make sure that we collaborate with all the local organizations to make sure that we're working together. I think the last thing is I really hit on the support that we feel like we can offer. That doesn't just come in the biweekly calls that we host or our company-wide intranet where they can grab resources at their fingertip at any point. We've made a commitment to the city to have regular corporate and regional visits throughout the length of our contract. So you will see Rick and Tim, who I have with me, other individuals who are within our company coming in regularly. Again, not to micromanage in any way, but just to be there for the support and see if there's any way they can help. A lot of times when they come in, they like to host team building events. We say that we like to work hard, but we like to play hard together as well. So that's really important to us.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any public comment?
Greetings, guys. I think you all know me, but my name is Zeno Wicks. And we have a couple of people who couldn't make it, Dr. Kurtenbach and Scott Munsterman down injuries, but they would like you to know to have a support for the conversations I'm going to have with you. We're here solely for one purpose, nothing to do with whether it's venue works or it's Spectra. We're not worried about that kind of stuff. The point that we're here for is Tom Richter. And perhaps you don't, as a group, get the idea of how important he is to livestock events. Yesterday, we have been working with a livestock coalition that is interested in putting in a $12 million rodeo. And I think you all know that at some level, there's been a pretty big group of us working in town getting ready to give you a proposal for the Swiftfield Center. But some of the things to think about is, even if he's in charge of the livestock events, right now we were notified yesterday that the Livestock Coalition and several of our events for livestock would be 90% plus to come if he was here. If he's gone, across the board, they said 50-50. And what I want you to all know is, there's a reputation of somebody who's running a place that's losing money. But there's also, I want you to understand, that an enormous amount of support for what he does in agriculture. All right? We have now opportunities, corporations that are looking to sponsor bringing down the price of the facility so that we can recruit more events. We have federations who have an interest in providing scholarship programs so young people can come here. Super strong support from the university in the sense of recruitment, all right? One of the most common comments we heard from women last summer was, this is a wonderful city. We really have to send our baby here. And so we're just here to say, all right, we'll be bringing you a proposal, but the idea is to expand the harmony of the center, all right, that we have a heavier focus on agriculture. More than happy to continue doing what we're doing, but we have identified over, almost 10 agricultural livestock judging events that are of interest in coming here that have never been here before, to understand that when those 2 livestock shows came from other places where they were canceled, they came because Tom Richter was here, and they knew they were going to be treated correctly. All right? And so it's important, like I say, we're putting together a group of things to think about with the Rodeo Coalition. Larry Tiedemann was at the football game and talked to the governor about it, and she says she's squarely behind it. And, I think she says that often, but at the same time, when it's a rodeo complex, there's some decent probability she'll be answered. And like I say, up through Barry Dunn, both the Dean of Agriculture and Head of Animal Science, all they really believe on the recruitment perspective And, you know, and Brady Jensen in the back there is, he's the one that you hired to look into bringing more livestock shows, all right? And this is just an indication for you. So if your perception of Brady or of Tom is more of a model of managing the Swiftfield Center and losing money, please at least understand that he is out of this world when it comes to livestock management. And if that's a direction we're going to expand our opportunities, I would really like you to sit down with him and explain, even if he's managing these up-and-coming livestock operations we're working on, all right, still probably got to pay him a little bit of money.
Thank you, Zeno. We have a timer. I let Zeno go up beyond it because I didn't put the warning out before, but we do have a 3-minute timer. Are there any other public comments? All right, I will go to the council. Is there any comments from council? Oh, Mr. Consumerson? Yes, please.
Tim Guttormson here. Guess I just want to tell, I have 2 stories to tell. And we were visiting clients last August in Indiana. We stopped by this one client, and he goes, "Man, we just got back from that Semitol show. We're so impressed with the staff there and everything they did." He goes, "I'm the president of the Indiana Semitol Association." I didn't know anything about this. And he said, "I put on events. It was a great event and a great staff." So they are a great staff. This is sort of an arranged marriage between the staff and the new management company. Something I know a little bit about, not venue management, but when I sold my first company 13 years ago, announced to the staff at 4 PM, we sold the company. And there's a lot of apprehension with the staff. You can see they're here. It's their jobs. It's the team that they've been a part of for quite a few years. So hopefully the team stays together, but it is, a lot of apprehension, a lot of unknown, uncertainty. So I just want to make that statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Any other person?
Good evening. Live up by Lake Poncet. Wanted to address you. I guess I wasn't aware that this was happening. The committee to search for a new venue manager. The way that I fit into the story, I guess, is was the National Charlet president, National Charlet Association president, and worked with Tom for a number of years to get the National Charlet show here, which we did last summer. And had nothing to do with COVID. We planned to come here before that. We had about 600 head of cattle and like number of students, participants, and their parents. So about 600 people came to Brookings, coming in on a Friday and not leaving until the next Saturday. Stayed in the motels, ate here for over a full week, 600 people. I don't know how that affects the bottom of the line of the venue itself, but certainly has to have an impact on Brookings. And Tom and I had been working on that for a number of years because nobody in the country thought that Brookings could hold a show of that size. And I've been involved in the leadership, and we've been from Timonium, Maryland to Sacramento, California, Texas, Georgia, all the Midwest states. We've been to most of the venues. We go to, every year we have a week-long convention. And we had unbelievable remarks about the management of the facility. And we knew if we brought the Charlet here, that the country would be watching for livestock shows. And we were followed immediately by the Semitols had confidence because the Charlets came, that when they needed to jump states, they came here. And then you had a Holstein show after that. And both of those were larger shows. So you had 600 to 1,000 students and their parents in Brookings for over 21 days because of that. And a big part of that was the staff. The facility isn't quite right for that many yet, but the staff with the accommodations, moving panels, arranging things, helping us, it worked. And I think that's going to be a model for the Swiftfield in the future, but it's going to take somebody that understands livestock and understands agriculture to make those shows happen, or, you know, we'll be looking at Sioux Falls or the new Dex facility in Huron. You know, the facilities and the community are half the equation, 60% of the equation. The management team that is running it is the other 40%. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? If not, I'll open it up to the council. Anyone have any comments or questions? Leah?
I had a question actually for you, Kate, if that's okay. Presentation struck with me. You mentioned the phrase, the Swiftfield venue would complement your booking and routing strategy. And I was wondering if you could elaborate on the technical aspects of that. What does that mean for us?
Sure, absolutely. So when shows are being booked throughout the country, they typically go coast to coast. You either start on the west or the east coast, and you work your way across the country. So when promoters are looking to book their events, obviously they're looking for a effective route to make their way across the country. So when I mentioned that it would complement it, it is not only are we on the coast, but more importantly, we are in Grand Forks, we're in Sioux City, we're in Ralston, Nebraska. So we have a very strong regional presence here. So as shows are being routed throughout this region, they'll be able to make stops along the way between all the Spectra venues.
Thank you. And then maybe just if you're comfortable commenting, how would you respond to this idea of recruiting agricultural shows to our arena? How would you guys approach that?
Sure, absolutely. Well, we were actually very fortunate. We have had some meetings with different groups about this. We know that this is an important aspect of this building. It came up in many meetings that we have. So I would say that we are committed to working with these groups and absolutely would look to continue this relationship as managers.
Mr. Wendell?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of questions for the Spectra team. I noticed in your proposal it included additional staff positions. I think you noted, or Eric's slides noted, 2 additional staff positions to assist with anticipated workload. Can you talk about the areas that you would see growing the staff?
I'm going to let Rick speak to this question.
Yeah, so one thing that, we do this across the country in a lot of different venues. And one thing that we notice when we go into a lot of these venues and we take over the venue and the staff, we look at the sponsorship opportunities. That's one big one. When we took a tour of the facility, we found some areas that really we think we're lacking in sponsorships here. And that usually takes a full-time person to do that. And right now, there's not a full-time person. Right now, and this is the model we see quite a bit, where a person that does marketing does the sales too. And that's very difficult to do, an A+ job in both. It's really hard. There's 2 different roles there. The marketing person is responsible for selling tickets, and that's how we're going to increase our ticket sales, because we want that person solely responsible in how do we market to the audience and get more people here. So that's part of our presentation. But we also, one of the new positions will be a sponsorship sales position, where that person is going to be solely responsible 24 hours a day, or not 24 hours a day, but when they're at work, selling the building. And they're going to use the resources we have, like she mentioned, that we actually have a whole division that sells sponsorships across the country, naming rights. So we're going to use that division to help this person start, the process here. So that's one major position here that we're going to add. So the other one is the assistant GM, and that's something that, that person could be a booking person, where they're solely responsible for booking, the major shows. That frees the GM up to do other things. So, but the biggest thing I should mention is, without a doubt, the director of marketing is different than the director of sales. And that's been our biggest thing when we come into the facilities. That's been our biggest change to the bottom line in multiple facilities. So
for that. For that. I've got a couple other questions related to the communities in which you have properties currently. I think it was really helpful for us to have information from the communities in which you're working, and you've got an established track record. I think Brookings is similar to some of those communities in a lot of ways and unique in some other ways. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to maybe speak a bit more about your experience working in university communities. A community like ours that has some established venues and has some entertainment already happening in the community, if there's opportunities for collaboration, but also thinking about a market that can feel somewhat saturated from a business perspective. So the university community I'd like to hear a little bit about. And then working with the agriculture industry, I know you spoke a little bit about the work you would endeavor to do, but if you have experience working with agriculture-related events in another region or another community, I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, so we have quite a bit of facilities that fit into the agricultural communities. I can list all of them, but Oasis County has a huge livestock show down in South Texas. That's our building. We have a building that in Kerr County, Texas, that is completely all agriculture. We have a horse park, and Tim Sabonis run the building in Nampa, Idaho, that has a whole horse park component to it, and he oversaw that whole. It's one of the major facilities in the Northwest. So we do have the experience in that. We also know, we met with Brady, who's actually Brady today. He's the guy that was hired by the city to, I guess, consult for the livestock. So we would absolutely use him for his connections. And, it's important to note, too, that all of our GMs, if you talk to the promoters, our GMs are all really good at what they do. Tom's really good at what he does. There's no question about that. But we got to make sure that any GM in our buildings is the very best, and they're the face of our company. So we understand how important it is to have the face of the company, a strong GM. And what was your first question?
Just related to your work in the
Oh.
university community.
So the university, and we actually we're in quite a bit of universities right now. We actually run a lot of university buildings. San Diego State is one of my facilities. They're building a new football stadium there. So we love. I'm actually based in Fort Collins. Where Colorado State's located. But we love collaborating with the university in all different levels, from interns. Very important for us. We have a whole internship program that we love. Hopefully we'll tap into that at local colleges. We teach classes. For some universities. So we do integrate ourselves quite a bit in those university settings. We also use them as event staff. That's a great, untapped market for us for part-time staff's a hard thing to come by nowadays. So we tap into that. But we also like to, we speak at universities for classes. So we're engaged at all levels. Here, we know they have an esports club. And that's one of our research, and esports is actually a pretty big show out there. An event is esports event, so we see that as an opportunity here, which we'll use. We'll use the university, the club, to help put that on. So we see quite a bit of the collaboration, across the board.
Thank you. I would just maybe share one comment. Generally speaking, I think we've had a good opportunity to understand through tonight's presentation and in previous conversations around the intent behind seeking out RFPs for the management of the facility. I know the Swiftfield Advisory Council and the committee members that were engaged in this council's intent was not to consider staffing changes. It was to consider management changes. We've been committed from the beginning as a very top priority to preserve what we think is the best event management staff in the country, and they've been recognized internationally multiple times. That's always been priority number one. It will be unfortunate if there are transitions that occur, but I do think it's important to say that this has never been about staffing changes. It's really been about the management company evaluation process yielding the result that it did, but it certainly has not been centered on a staffing change.
Absolutely.
Council.
I have two questions. The first question is just saying keeping and maintaining our staff has been an utmost priority, I think, for us going into this endeavor. And so one of the things I mentioned or noticed in the presentation is that you have a really great culture that is within your staff and within your company. As a transition happens, how would you plan to make our current staff part of that culture and help make them ingrained in that culture and not feel like something that's just kind of thrown into the mix?
So, we're going to meet with the staff tomorrow morning. Hopefully, if everything, obviously, if we're lucky enough to get this. But, the one thing that we want to convey is change is hard. We understand that change is hard and it's scary sometimes. We want to convey to the employees that we heard nothing but great things about them from day one. We really want them to be part of our team, and we're going to do everything possible to keep them as part of our team. And we got to, we have to do several things. One, we've got to make sure that they know that we're not going to come in here and their jobs are going to change. It's not going to change. We're going to tweak some things, and we're going to provide the resources to them. We're not there to tell them everything they've done wrong or we think you're doing. We're there to be a resource saying, hey, now you have a whole company basically that does sponsorships, only sponsorships. They're here to help. Like, this is how we set it up. So, it's important, we understand it's changed. We've done this a lot. I've done this in many different buildings across the country. It's nerve-wracking for them. We understand that. But hopefully tomorrow and through this transition, we're going to keep in touch with them quite a bit. We'll be in here a lot during the transition. But we want to make sure that they know that we value their input, and they know the building, and they know the market better than we do. And we're going to rely on that. But we want them all to stay, and we're not this big bad company that's coming in here with a bus of new employees. That's not what we do. We come in here and we just add resources to what they're doing, and maybe show them in creative ideas that how to do things a little bit differently. But certainly their jobs aren't going to change.
So Rick alluded to the fact that we'll be in a lot. So I think just to specifically talk about how they will be really feel like they are now a part of Spectra and make them feel like they are a part of the Spectra team. As Rick mentioned, should everything be successful for us, that starts tomorrow. And for the next foreseeable future, there will be lots of visits, whether it be Rick, Tim, other GMs that we have in the region, other subject matter experts from our company. You'll see a lot of people coming in. Again, not to replace the staff, more to really just kind of wrap their arms around them, meet with them, get to know them, start talking about the resources that Spectra has. And that's all part of our transition plan, is making sure that people are here. And then, there might even be the opportunity down the road to make sure that some staff can visit some of these other Spectra buildings as well, to see other Spectra venues and really, again, make them get to know their colleagues and their peers within our company and get to know each other.
Thank you. I do have a second question, and that's in our current arrangement and management, we have a really strong connection with Tom Richter in his position. There's almost a duality to his position, where not only does he work to manage the Swiftfield Center with Venue Works, but he really is also ingrained within the city's culture, within our department heads and within that structure. And I think that works really well for us. It helps the council stay informed in what's going on out at the Swiftfield Center, as it is a endeavor that's owned by the city. Talk to us a little bit about how that relationship could potentially continue to work, so that not only is the management kind of under Spectra, but that it would still feel very much part of the city.
Well, I think that's great that Tom does that. It's important. I think if you talk to any of our clients, whether it be cities or county governments, whoever owns the facilities, I think if you talk to them, you'll hear very similar things. Like if you talk to Tim Savona, our GM in Sioux City, if you talk to their city manager, you're going to hear the same exact thing about him. And then prior to that, he was in Nampa, Idaho. You'll hear the exactly same thing from the mayor. So, it's important for all of our GMs to ingrain themselves into the community and with the city and follow the city values. So, I think, that's it to us is a no-brainer. Like that has to happen at the GM level, and that will continue to happen. Otherwise we won't be here, quite frankly, and our retention rate, renewal rates is probably the best in the industry, 90% or plus.
98%.
98%, and there's a reason for that, because, we do what we say, and, we do create that atmosphere with the city or the county, whoever owned the buildings, or universities sometimes. So.
Thank you.
Councilmember Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but that was a big selling point for me, for you guys coming here, was that the staff stayed. And if I might just talk to the staff out in the crowd here and maybe at home and stuff like that, Tom, I hope you guys stay. I hope you stay, get your offer, or maybe they haven't been offered yet, or will be an offer or whatever. But I hope you all stay, because you guys are what makes the Swiftfield Center a success. It all comes from the top, Tom. That's all from you on down, okay? So that's my comment.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great statement. And one thing I should say too is not only does the GM should be involved with the city, so should be the person overseeing, like the regional vice president of the facility, or of the building. So I would be here, and I will get to know, and you'll see me a lot. That's not good for some of you guys, but I will be here talking to, whoever the contract administrator who's signed. You guys will have a person assigned to us, and I'll be there meeting with them, coming in and, meeting with anybody, the city council or, whatever. But, I will be a fixture here too as well, so.
Okay, thank you. Council comments?
No, everyone else, I think, has asked most of the questions that I would have asked. Thank you.
Okay. I really don't have any comments, but to thank the staff for what they've done in the past years, how they have put us on the map, and that I hope that they stay with us also. You guys are what makes that place tick. It has been a great venue. Being an economics major for numerous years, I realize what economic impact means, and you guys have done a wonderful job of bringing the city of Brookings an economic impact from years on over. So, with that being said, will the city clerk call the roll?
Wendell.
Aye.
Bacon.
Aye.
Brink.
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Niemeyer.
Aye.
Tilton Burn.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 8, ordinance, first readings. There's no vote taken on the first reading of an ordinance. The title is read. Public comment and council discussion is permitted. The date for the second reading will be announced. First item is 8A, introduction and first reading of ordinance 21-010, an ordinance to change the zoning within the city of Brookings, rezoning 5.75 acres generally located along the 1500 and 1600 block of Main Avenue South, from a residence R1A single-family district to a business B2A office district. Hearing held on today, and then obviously second reading will be next meeting. Mike, would you please present?
I was covering a lot of the details.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so ordinance 21-010 is ordinance to rezone some property about 5.75 acres on the east side of Main Avenue, just south of. It's surrounded by residential property in that area. There's some apartments just to the north, single family to the east, and to the south is actually an advanced facility, but it's designated kind of a single family unit. And then across the street to the west on Main Avenue is also single family. The comprehensive plan does account for this area as an urban low intensity for the future land use. It would support some limited retail office type uses. It does suggest that with the urban low intensity, when you do incorporate the office uses, to locate them on your collector or arterial streets. So this proposal is consistent with our comprehensive plan. It does come to you with a unanimous recommendation from the Planning Commission, and we would stand for any questions that you may have.
Any questions from council? Councilmember Bacon?
No.
Seen. Oh, yeah. Do we have any public comments or questions?
Bradley Walker, resident of Brookings. I just want to make a couple comments. Given the fact that we have an affordable housing crisis, and given the fact that we are running out of developable property, and we will be out of developable property in 15 years, according to your studies, it doesn't make very much sense to eliminate a parcel of land that could potentially be used for affordable housing and replace it with a business area in the middle of a residential area. And considering the fact that there is going to be businesses on the south side of 20th Street South in the Prairie Hills project, I would think that residential housing would be a priority with the council over adding another business district. That's all I got.
Public comment. Okay. Move on to item 8B, introduction, first reading of ordinance 21-011, an ordinance to change the zoning within the city of Brookings, rezoning lot 11A, block 6, Folsom's Addition, also known as 204 First Street South, from an industrial I-1 light district to a business B3 heavy district. Public hearing is first comment tonight, and then second will be next meeting. Mike will present the rest.
Thank you. Is currently zoned I-1, which is a light industry district. They're proposing to rezone to a B3, which is a heavy business district. The two districts are essentially with a lot of uses. The B3 does provide a little bit more flexibility in that the side setbacks are a little bit less than the I-1. But the primary reason for this particular rezoning is the applicant is intending to build contractor shops at the particular location, and personal storage is not allowed in an I-1 district. And he wants to provide himself the flexibility if somebody wanted to come to him with personal storage needs that they could locate in there. In addition, there are with the B3, it does allow some limited retail type operations. And so he wants to just maintain that flexibility in being able to help market his property. And so that's the primary reason for seeking the rezoning from an I-1 to a B3. I'd stand for any questions you may have. Oh, and it does come to you with a unanimous recommendation from the Planning Commission.
Is there any public comment on this? Seeing none, does the council have any questions or comments? Okay. Move on to item 8C. We still have Mike on board here. Introduction and first reading on ordinance 21-014, an ordinance to change the zoning within the city of Brookings, rezoning Lot 1, Block 2, Folsom Addition, also known as 530 First Street South, and Lots 2 and 3, Block 2. Folsom Addition, known as 110 6th Avenue South, from an industrial I-1 light district to a business B3 heavy district.
This is almost an discussion. This is two lots. There's a railroad viaduct here. The property has recently changed ownership, and the new owners are looking to rezone to the B3 to give them a little bit more flexibility. Interested in a potential mixed-use project there as well, and are just really seeking the flexibility that the B3 zoning offers to them. It does come to you with a unanimous recommendation from the Planning Commission as well.
Is there any public comment or questions? Any questions from council? Councilmember Bacon. Okay. The only question I have is this one, when you say mixed use, explain mixed use.
Mixed use, in the B3 district, we allow mixed use, so potential commercial and residential component into the same lot. Could be vertical, could be horizontal, how they do it. And when we mean vertical, one use maybe on the first or second story, and then multiple uses above it. What we typically have seen is commercial first floor with residential above. You can also go horizontal, where you maybe have a section of the building as your commercial uses and then spread it across the lot to incorporate the residential. But when you looked at mixed use, it's a commercial residential component.
Okay, thank you. Item 8D, introduction and first reading on ordinance 21-018, an ordinance to permit by conditional use an office in a residence R2 two-family district in the south 105 feet of Lot 1, Block 7, Morehouse Addition, also known as 903 Eighth Street. Public hearing is tonight, and then we have second reading again next meeting. Mike, would you like to review this for us, please?
Certainly. 018 is an ordinance for conditional use in an R2, which is a residential zoning district. Office use is by conditional use in that particular R2 district. The owner is wishing to establish a property management company in that particular residential unit. This does come to you with the unanimous recommendation from the Planning Commission with conditions that are provided within the ordinance. This is a little bit unique because the property is already in the historic district, and we went through that process with the State Historic Preservation Office as well as the Brookings Historic Preservation Commission. And that's part of the reason why some of the conditions are put in place, is that we felt it would be more detrimental to the neighborhood if they had to follow the strict compliance with the zoning ordinance by providing off-street parking and screening of that off-street parking. So we felt the boulevard parking was appropriate. We're limiting it to the applicant only for use as his property management company only. And I would stand for any questions that you may have.
Is there any public comment? Seeing none, do we have any questions or comments from council? Councilmember Bacon, do you have any comments or questions? I'll take that as a no. Conditional use permit. If this property is ever sold again, that conditional use permit goes away?
Yes, that is correct, because it is for only, and
Okay.
only for use as a property management company. So if if that particular owner still owns the property but switches the type of use, he would have to come back for a new conditional use for whatever office type use he'd want to establish.
Okay,
It's strictly related to his property management company for this applicant.
thank you. Second readings tonight. So we move on to item 10, other business. Item 10A, action on resolution 21-044, a resolution authorizing the retirement of Brookings Municipal Utility Bonds. CEO Steve Meyer and Laura will be presenting.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm Steve Meyer, General Manager of Brookings Municipal Utilities, and this is Laura Julius, Financial and IT Manager, also at Brookings Municipal Utilities. I have provided you a memo supporting the resolutions 44 and 45, your next agenda item, related to the retirement of bonds that were approved by the City Council and BMU in 2005 and in 2011. The interest rates have changed such that the retirements of these bonds will yield an approximate $1 million savings with this retirement of the bonds. Laura and I are prepared to provide you with any more detail or any more questions you might have on the retirement of these bonds.
Are there any council or, I guess I should to start off with this?
So moved. Second.
Motion second. Is there any public comment or questions? If none, any council members have a comment or a question? What bond was it for?
Well, the 2005 bond was, that's the current resolution, I guess, for
Right.
number 44. That was for a substation that is serving city.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions?
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Wendell.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, on to item 10B, action and resolution 21-045, a resolution authorizing retirement of Brookings Municipal Utility Bonds 2011. CEO Steve Meyer and Laura will present this one also.
Same story. This bond was for several substations serving the city of Brookings.
Any
Move to
questions?
I just said
Oh,
move to
yeah,
approve.
motion, I'm sorry.
Second.
Seeing none, any comments from council? Okay, please call the roll.
Brink,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 10C, action on resolution 21-047, a resolution declaring jurisdictional change of a portion of 214th Street, otherwise known as 20th Street South. And we will have DJ, right? All right.
DJ Boothie, Public Works
Yeah.
Director.
All right.
Good evening, councilors. Jurisdictional transfer process outlined in statute. A joint township meeting was held on May 17th in which Aurora Township and Trenton Township passed resolutions transferring the jurisdiction of just over 3/4 of a mile of 20th Street South right away to the city of Brookings. The jurisdictional transfer will allow the city of Brookings to purchase right away and construct the 20th Street project, 20th Street South project. The purpose of the resolution before you today is to accept that jurisdictional control by the city of Brookings for portions of 20th Street South, which will allow the city to plan, finance, and construct the street improvements necessary for the project. At a later date, the jurisdiction for the portions of the road outside of the city limits will be transferred to Brookings County. Therefore, I request your approval of the resolution 21-041 for this jurisdictional change, and I'll stand by for any questions.
Thank you.
Moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, is there any council or comments or questions? Nick?
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. In that interim time before we would transition the area outside of city limits back to the county, are we going to work together on the maintenance? You know, if it's snow removal or ditch maintenance, what's the maintenance plan around that?
Sure. Right now, the county and the township maintain the portions outside of the city limits. And so we're working together for a maintenance plan agreement with both of those organizations. Likely the city street department will go out to 34th Street in this this coming winter, and then we'll start construction after that. So basically won't be any maintenance.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Council?
I'm
Okay.
fine.
All right. Thank you, Patty. Please call the roll.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you,
Thank you,
DJ.
council.
Okay, move on to item 10E, action to appoint city council member, term effective 5/26/2021 through 4/30/2022. I'm sorry. Move back up. All right, item 10D, action on resolution 21-043, a resolution repealing resolution 21-024 pertaining to safety recommendations to reduce the spread of COVID-19 in the city of Brookings, South Dakota. Please present, Paul.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council members. In April, the city made two recommendations based on the understanding that those in Brookings County that were most at risk would be inoculated. At that time, with the passage of the current resolution, staff recommended the elimination of the resolution at the end of May that would recommended masks if the community response indicated the need. Today, Brookings has reached a milestone in the pandemic here in Brookings County. The pods of mask dispensing and other vaccination avenues have provided at least one vaccination dose to 48% of the county and of those 12 years and older. The pods will cease for the first shot events. The community efforts will transition more to our local clinics and pharmacies. Brookings County has only 14 active cases right now. We're still in moderate spread, but most importantly, we are still remaining at 37 deaths here in the Brookings County. Because of these factors, staff does recommend rescinding the existing resolution for mask recommendation effective at the end of May.
Okay. To approve.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, is there any council comment or questions? Call the roll.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tildenburn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now, on to item 10E. Action to appoint city council member, term effective 5/26/2021 through 4/30/2022. Entertain a motion to appoint. Insert someone's name, please.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to appoint Wayne Avery to the position of council.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Is there any public comment on this item? Do we have any council members that have comments or questions? Councilman Nick.
I don't have any questions. I would just want to make a comment. I think we had some strong candidates take an application out with real interest in this position. Folks who have been committed in this community through their volunteer service, through their professional work, through the work on our boards and committees and commissions. And I hope for those that have been invested and put themselves out there through this process that you'll consider running for future office or applying for future office, whether it's through a process like this or participating in a public election. One of the things that I love about serving in Brookings is we have a very active democratic process. We have an engaged and interested citizenry. And so I was excited and encouraged to see multiple quality applicants in this pool. And I was also, I appreciated the feedback we got from community members who had had good experiences with a couple of our applicants and shared those experiences with counselors that helped inform our decision-making process.
Any other?
Echo those. One of the very difficult things about this decision is that we do have engaged community members and those that are qualified for this position that applied. So that makes it something that's not easy on us. And so I want to thank those who came forward and applied for this position. I also would encourage those who have been engaged within our community to run at a later time or seek other ways that they can continue to be involved in this community, because I think that this community really benefits from that service. Additionally, I want to thank the community members who did provide comment. I think we saw a really good showing of comments that came forward to the council regarding this position, and that was something I requested at the last meeting, and it helps give us a little guidance in terms of what the community would like to see, and so I want to thank those who did take the time and energy to contact us with their thoughts.
Thank you.
Just to offer that for me, I found compelling in terms of experience and credentials to bring to this role. I think that his experience in the financial industry brings a level of knowledge about that topic to our council that we maybe previously didn't have. So for me, that was a deciding factor as well.
Councilmember Bacon, do you have any comments or questions?
I echo everything everyone said, I believe that Mr. Avery brings don't currently have, and I'm looking forward to, if we do nominate him tonight, looking forward to him being able to give us some input on issues as we go forward.
Thank you. I would like to reiterate pretty much what everybody has said too. And I love the public engagement that we get. We have gotten comments all over the board. I come down to two candidates, and Brianna was a very close second. And I reiterate the comments that Nick said. Candidates don't consider this a loss. Consider this an open door so that you can try to run for election in the future. Thank you. Please call the roll. Oh, sorry, Joey. Go ahead.
That's okay. I just didn't want to be the only council member that didn't talk. So, yeah, it was close. Working with you, Wayne, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Please.
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tilton Burn.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Congratulations, Wayne. Do you want to make any comments or?
Studying issues, might have more than you bargained for, but I think we'll get along.
All right. Thank you, Wayne. Okay, item 10F, action to appoint deputy mayor for a term through 6/1/2022. Are there any motions?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Councilman Nick Wendell as deputy mayor.
I'll second that. Any comments from the public? Comments from the council at all? Seeing none.
Mayor?
Oh, go ahead, Patty.
No, I just want to say that I think that Councilmember Wendell would make an excellent deputy mayor.
Thank you, Patty. I reiterate that. Any other comments? Please call the roll.
Tilton Burn,
Aye.
Wendell,
I'll abstain.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Congratulations, Nick. All right, city progress report. Our assistant city manager, Jake Meshing, will present this item.
Microphone, so I'm going to adjust that. I've never seen it contort that way before. All right, this is the report. The interchange project is alive and well, continuing to make great progress there. Plenty of information before you on where we stand there tonight. The main thing is we're continuing to negotiate with landowners for right-of-way and easements. That's really the main highlight right now. Also, as DJ presented, getting that right-of-way out in the townships is also another major achievement there. We continue to be on track. We're looking to go to bid this fall in 2021, and then we would see construction in 2022 and 2023. Jefferson Avenue is another exciting project that is currently underway. So this will be broken down into two phases, but it is important to note that both phases will be completed this year. They're just dividing them on a north and south way. As you can see in the picture, they've removed some of that asphalt. They're beginning to install the water main. As just kind of a general reminder, the project scope for this is including water main, storm sewer, curb and gutter ramps, and then that storm water sump pump collection pilot project that will be exciting and may be able to be replicated throughout our community. A Street South and Maderi traffic signal. So that project did recently get underway. And again, this one will be divided into two phases as well, the north and the south. For members of the council as well as members at home, you'll see the two different detour routes highlighted for you. The keynote here too is that A Street South will essentially maintain openness throughout this project. There will be a select few dates in there where it will be closed when they have to actually install the traffic signals and things of that nature. But the east and west route really won't be interrupted too terribly badly. The north and south will actually be a different story there. So again, take advantage of those two detour routes that you see in front of you there. We do expect completion of this project in September 2021, key date being there, it's done before school begins later this fall. Again, you can see the project scope in front of you there. I think the main thing to highlight here is that we're actually going to go to a camera detection system here, as opposed to those in-ground detection systems that are kind of the older, more traditional ways. Those camera detections do provide a lot more benefits, a lot more flexibility, adaptability, and are a more modern way to do that because they don't require replacement whenever the street pavement needs to be repaired. They're more reliable at detecting different vehicular bodies, and as well as they can have their detection zones changed much more easily as opposed to those sensors that are planted into the ground. I would just encourage all the members of the public to follow our press releases, our website, as well as our social media for project updates throughout this construction season on this project, as well as future renditions of the progress report. Coffee with Paul is something that's been going on for quite some time, but something we probably haven't highlighted too much. It is where our very own city manager, Paul Brazino, has his regular segment that we put onto our website, the city's YouTube, Facebook, and different venues there. And really, it's an opportunity for Paul to discuss topics that are important to the Brookings area residents, provide updates to city operations, current and upcoming events and initiatives, as well as what it's like to be a city manager on a day-to-day basis. We also offer an opportunity for the public to win one of the Bring Your Dreams mugs. You can do that by submitting a question to Paul to answer on Coffee with Paul. City of Brookings was recently recognized as one of the safest cities in South Dakota by Safewise.com. We currently rank number 7 with a few others in front of us. These communities were ranked by using FBA crime data from the FBI Uniform Crime Rating Program, U.S. Census Bureau data, as well as Safewise State of the Safety Survey and Gun Violence Archive. DJ did a great job, as well as our Parks and Recreation Department, all of Public Works, and everyone involved really with the spring cleanup. Another great year in Brookings that went very smoothly, very efficiently. Some of the takeaways that you'll see from 2020 is that the costs of the city continue to rise as we have those inflators in place. We were down a little bit on tonnage this year, but one of the things we've kind of learned is that the tonnage doesn't seem to impact it overtly too much because we're still mobilizing the same crews, pieces of equipment, and things of that nature. So there may be some marginal changes there, but really it comes down to the mobilization. And really a great segue there is recognizing all of our Public Works staff. That includes the Street, Engineering, and Solid Waste Division. It was National Public Works Week from May 16th to 22nd. Public Works really encompasses a broad segment of the services that we provide as a city, anything from stormwater maintenance to our regional airports and landfills, a lot of the core services that our residents enjoy and truthfully count on a day-to-day basis to get to work, school, a lot of the different commuting activities, and ensuring that the garbage and all those collections are picked up as well. So likely a lot of services that we all take for granted, but again, like to recognize them for the great work that the staff does on a day-to-day basis. A new initiative that we launched this year out of the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Department was the Urban Forest Initiative. It launched on April 22nd, and we had such a great response, it didn't even make it a full month. We had to close it on May 17th. 47 residents participated in that and planted a total of 82 trees. Based on the popularity of it, we will be bringing it back in 2022 and hopefully expanding it a little bit further so that we can make it longer than a month next time will be Dusty's goal. Summer reading program is underway for children. There's 179 children registered from 88 families. Registration maintains open through the duration of the program, which ends in July. So if you have more kids that you would like to sign up, go to the front desk at the library. Likewise, just yesterday, we opened up the teen and adult registration. So any teens and adults that would like to participate in the summer reading program, that can be done at the front desk of the library. Police Department, a couple of new features that have come online recently just to make the public aware. One of them, actually not yet released, will come online in June, is a program called Cop Logic. This is an online police reporting tool. So this is for your minor incidents where you need to file a police report, possibly for insurance purposes or anything that is more on that minor side. You can actually do that electronically, and you can do it for free. They'll be launching that in June, as mentioned, and that'll be available on the police website. I think it's important to provide the reminder that this is not an emergency service function. So in case of emergency, please do call 911, which segues nicely into our last topic. Text to 911 is now available. So you can call or text 911. Calling is still the preferred option, I'm being told, but texting is available in those situations where maybe a call for whatever reason is not feasible. With that, I would stand for any questions.
Council members, questions? Holly?
All right.
You had mentioned that on our new streetlight project, it's going to be one of the camera those being utilized in town, correct? At least one location where we have one of those?
I believe there's at least one location, but I believe DJ and Jackie may still be here if they want to provide more detail on that.
Thank you. Yes, we actually have several locations in Brookings where we have camera detection, 8th Street South and 7th Avenue South, along with 22nd Avenue and 3rd Street and Old Line intersection, and there may be others that I'm not thinking of right offhand. So we're trying to transition to that new camera detection system.
Thank you.
Any other? Nick?
Yeah, I had a question about the CopLogic program. Do we know if it works? App, the other electronic system we have?
That's something we'd have to look into a little bit further. There may be a way we can link out to it. I'm not sure that there's a smooth integration, but we can look into that further. But I think there's probably a way we can at least put a hyperlink to it to make that a little bit easier to use.
Okay. Councilmember Bacon, do you have any questions, comments?
I'd like to thank Jake and Paul and Jackie and all of our staff. This to be reported on so regularly on the activities of our city and the activities of our staff is so refreshing, and knowing where we're at financially all the time. So I just feel we're so blessed, and that we have great leadership providing this information to the council.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jake. Item 12, council member introduction of topics for future discussion. Anybody have anything they want to bring up? Okay, the agenda for June 8th. We have regular consent agenda, a couple liquor and wine license renewals. We have presentation of our retiring city engineer, presentation of our retiring fire chief. We don't have any first readings as of yet. Second readings are basically what we've discussed tonight. And then for other business, we have discussion on fireworks. Anything else, Paul? Oh, yeah, that's not on here. Oath of office for Wayne Avery. Okay. There's nothing else. I entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.